Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. I'm Rudy Ruiz.
I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we're going to be discussing the 2025 film The Gorge, starring Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. So the story follows two snipers, one from the west, one from the east, expert snipers that are put on this mission where they have to protect this gorge out in a place that they have no idea, middle of nowhere, from some kind of hidden evil deep down in the gorge. Yeah, I mean, you recommended this one. I know you had talked to me about it a couple months ago when it had first come out.
Yeah.
And I didn't get around to seeing it until last night. I mean, right off the bat, I thought it was a pretty decent, little thriller, minimal location kind of
Super high
idea.
action.
Yeah. I think it went on maybe a little long, but
they got the most out of that Jeep.
Yeah.
That Jeep, you don't try this at home with your Jeep.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was actually okay. I was kind of going in like, all right, it's just going to be a stock, whatever, kind of straight to stream movie. But
well, one of the reasons that I recommended this is these companies like Netflix, who make their own material now, that's a strange, different phenomenon than we're used to. This was never for the theater. Mm-hmm. This is straight to TV and really good quality for straight to TV.
Yeah.
It used to be when I was growing up, if something went like straight to VCR, it was because it didn't make it in the movie. It was we made the movie. We'll try just selling, tapes of it or something. But I thought this was a real good, very high quality movie for, like you said, Apple TV, right? And I think we did another, like either a Netflix production or
there's been
one of those like a Paramount
like
Plus
that.
one or something.
Yeah.
And some of them are darn good, and some of the series are darn good. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, when I saw it, it was like this was never in the theater because it really could have been. Mm-hmm. It was really a good thing. Somewhere between the United States and Russia, they created some kind of hybrid disease. They tried to make hybrid soldiers, and they couldn't kill them. I guess the experiments were ongoing, and they had them in this natural gigantic gorge. And they had an American sniper on one side, and they had a Russian sniper on the other side. And they're sort of watching like, I'm watching that side and you're watching this side. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, they had all this automated defenses also.
Yeah.
They had like robot machine guns and robot, rocket launchers and stuff to keep whatever was in the gorge, because if it got out, it was going to attack everybody. Mm-hmm. And so it was a real interesting idea, and the automated stuff made it very video gamey. Like when the two snipers, through acts of unbelievable stupidity, found themselves trapped in the gorge, which they're not supposed to go in. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it's what made it. That's what made all the action. Mm-hmm. It was really exciting and fun. Now, in the beginning, first of all, Miles Teller was the drummer in Whiplash.
Yep.
So seeing him in this, it was like, how is he going to pull this off? But he did a good job, didn't he?
He did.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Anya Taylor-Joy, I loved her in the TV show The Queen's Gambit, where she was the chess champion. Mm-hmm. Miles Teller, he didn't want to be a sniper anymore, but they brought him back and they brought him in. The truth is, at the end, they're going to kill you. You're going to be on there for a year, and then they're going to kill you. And then Anya, I love the name Drasa. It's such a Bond villain name, right? She's the sniper Drasa. Mm-hmm. She's deadly. She'll kill you, And she knows that her father is dying from cancer. He wants to commit suicide on Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. So, and she's going to be in this location where she can't get to him, which is hard on her. So the two of them are staring across the gorge at each other. They're able to shoot, like for target practice, they're like shooting each other's environment. Mm-hmm. Like she puts up a challenge, like hit this, and of course he does. Well, after a while, the sexual tension is so great that he decides to shoot a cable across the gorge and slide over there and have a date with her, And of course, she's as horny as him. The two of them are going to, they're going to collide, right?
Yeah, at this point, they've been there for 3-4 months alone.
They're going to be a full year. Yeah. It's the year's getting longer, right? And so they're doing this thing where they're sliding over there to meet each other, but of course it goes wrong and they fall into the gorge, and they have to rescue each other and everything. And then they have to then they find out what's in the gorge. Now the cool thing about the gorge is that it's being protected from the outside world by a cloaking device. So even like drones flying over don't see it, airplanes flying over don't see it. It's a secret project from these two governments, sort of like when China and the U.S. created the flu, and we had that whole debacle a couple of years ago, right? This is the United States and Russia. They're combining to protect the project, whatever the weird mutant military hybrid thing that they're doing. It's kind of darn cool, you know? It really is. And I think both of those two actors really do a good job at being the killers, you know, and everything. It's hard to imagine because neither one of them is really like a strong athlete. You know,
yeah, I mean, Miles Teller's bulked up pretty good for this movie. I think since Top Gun,
right?
He got pretty shredded in there compared to the Whiplash days.
Yeah, a little short program sometime. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about all that.
Get you there. But Anya Taylor-Joy is such an exotic-looking girl, you know, with her wide eyes and everything like that.
Yeah.
And she's really good for a character like that. Mm-hmm. So I watched it on TV because it's the only way you could. And I thought you'd want to. And I thought everybody would want to. I thought everybody, this is one of those ones like, I just think everybody should watch this at least once just to see how much fun it was. And the special effects are phenomenal, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's worth checking out. I like the setup to it, like with the two of them and their kind of position in life up to this point. Sigourney Weaver being... And I feel like we've seen this a few times where she seems to be like the head of a top secret organization, and she's always like, Cabin in the Woods.
Wasn't she an Avatar like that? An Avatar?
She was an Avatar. I don't know that she was like that though, but Cabin in the Woods was very similar, where she's kind of the bad guy in the end. But either way, yeah, I mean, I like the setup and getting them there and this whole idea. And the debriefing scene or the briefing scene when he arrives, and mind you, they knock them out when they get there. They have to leave passport, watch everything. They have no clue where they're dropped off. And, you know, when he gets there and he meets the guy that he's relieving, JD, and he kind of fills him in, and how so much of it is still a mystery. Like, all right, you're going to be here for a year. Here's the garden, here's the food, here's the vodka, this is what you have to do every day.
JD thinks that he's just going to retire from this and live somewhere, go back home.
Yeah, he did his service and he's going to go home.
He doesn't know that they're selecting people who are disposable.
Yeah.
Who they want to dispose of.
And that was a real bummer when he goes away and, you know, he sets off his flare to get the helicopter. The moment the helicopter kind of passed him, I was like, oh, he's not getting out of here alive. I was like, they're definitely going to whack him. And sure enough, and they brought the cable down. I'm like, all right, maybe. But they fly him up. I'm like, oh, they're probably just going to drop him.
Right.
And then sure enough, they shoot him and then drop him. But it's such a bummer and very unceremonious, you know? And it's like pretty upsetting to see that kind of stuff of people that do a service for country and they think everything's all good. They put all this time in and just to be like, all right, yeah, what's your authentication? JD, whatever. Cool. Awesome. Bang. And let him go. I'm like, it always bums me out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, betrayal.
Yeah, it's betrayal. It's just so bad. And to think,
and we have that in our real life.
Yeah,
in the military and in business and in industry and everything. And betrayal is a miserable, rotten thing.
Some real evil right there.
And it's because you have a detached person. It's Sigourney Weaver's part. She knows all the bad stuff.
Oh yeah.
She's fully aware of all the bad things that's going to happen to everybody, and she's just methodically doing it. And oh man, it reminds me of what lawyers do. They're just doing some horrible thing to people. They know darn well they're doing a bad thing. They know they're ruining somebody's life for some small reward of some kind, you know. And I really hate that.
Yeah. No,
I guess I shouldn't use that word on YouTube. Maybe they'll bleep it out. Maybe you should bleep it out. But there are judges who act this way. They're just destroying somebody's life because they can. You know, it's miserable. It's a real dark side of society.
Yeah.
Anybody that's, you know, doing something like that in any field. But this, and by the way, let me give credit to the soundtrack for this thing too, because it's huge. You know, I saw it on TV. I wish I could see it in a theater with the sound system and everything, because if this thing had surround sound, there's stuff coming at you from all directions. So the soundtrack was really great.
There was a couple moments where the soundtrack was very strange to me and I actually didn't like it. I don't remember if it was the first shootout scene when they're coming up or when he zip lines over. I don't know. There was just two moments where it just felt very out of place. But then there was moments of it. I think the soundtrack did serve its purpose and was good. I mean, I like the idea when he's there and he's settling in and he sees on the wall that, because this is something that's been going on for decades. I think the first soldier was 1947. So it's like right at the end of the war. And every year it's been someone. And even when JD's filling him in, and he's like, oh, they call them hollow men. And supposedly this happened and this happened. And he's like, well, who tells you this? And he says, oh, well, the last person. And he's like, so basically it's like a decades-long game of telephone where like every year, and
nobody knows what's in the gorge.
Yeah. I like that concept though. It's interesting of you come in,
but it's real like Nazi knowledge, right? Like right after the war, right? All the scientists that were experimenting with all kind of weird ideas and stuff. That's ugly.
Yeah. This first kind of chunk of the movie, not very action-packed and not fast-paced. And I forgot, like I was really into it and engaged. And what was happening just the day to day, and him eventually starting to message, Drasa, his counterpart on the east side of the gorge, and they were both told specifically that they can't interact.
Right,
they're going to do
Absolutely
it anyway.
not.
Yeah,
but they're cloaked, so no one would know.
No one knows.
No one would know.
But I really liked all this to be honest, almost to the point that when the action kind of kicks in, I was like, oh, I was a little more interested before. Like I actually forgot, like once he says something out loud when they're messaging each other, and it dawned on me, I was like, oh yeah, there hasn't been dialogue in like 20, 30 minutes, and it like hit me. But that's how into it I was. So I like when a movie can pull me in that I'm not even considering that, it definitely gets
yeah, it really is two movies, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's right up till they go in the gorge, and then after the gorge, then it's nonstop action. Then it's a chase scene.
Yeah.
And
I will say...
It turns into Apocalypto.
Yeah. I will say that I really love the mystery of it and like waiting to get to like, all right, we're figuring out what is down there. Why is it down there? And the creature design, I didn't really care for, to be honest. The weird idea of the human DNA blended with insects and trees and nonsense. And it reminded me too much of The Last of Us and also that movie Annihilation. I don't know if you ever saw that.
No, I don't know that movie.
Probably like 10 years ago now or so. There's a similar idea there where there's this zone that people can't go into. It's very much like Stalker, the Tarkovsky film. But they go in, and same thing where the DNA mixes with people, and their people are like half tree or something weird, or there's a bear mixed with the crocodile and some kind of hybrid monster, but it screams and it's like a human scream, stuff like that.
Man, bear, pig.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So this was kind of similar, right? Like you have the spiders with the human skulls and the former soldiers that look like pieces of wood remind me a lot of Last of Us with like the fungus cordyceps stuff. And even that when they go into that missile silo, and that was a really creepy moment, but I do wish it was practical effects when it's like what used to be people but now they're basically fungus, slime, goop, they're fungi, And that was really creepy, them trying to walk down the hall like without touching it.
I can't believe you said fungi. A mushroom walks into a bar and says, I'd like to have a beer. And the bartender says, we don't serve your kind. He goes, why? I'm a fungi.
All right.
That's my fungi joke. But anyway. Yeah, I forgot about the missile silo part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the design, I don't know. I was just a little underwhelmed. The mystery was still kind of interesting in that, they kill a couple of them and he's like, oh, it's like a American Airborne first like uniform on this thing. And and they're on horseback and it's like, oh, well, there's the story about the 2,000 soldiers that went in and never came out. And, they were all contaminated by this chemical weapon that leaked or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting or what I would want differently necessarily, but somehow it's just a little on the underwhelming side for me. I did like that ending though.
Oh, well.
I did like the ending.
Well,
you don't like the ending? Not like the happy ending part necessarily. I just mean leading up to that, like Sigourney showing up and dropping the they called it stray dog, was like the contingency.
Yeah, to kill everything,
Yeah.
to sanitize it.
Yeah.
Because the cloak disappeared suddenly. And they were like, oh boy, now the satellites are going to all see this and everything. So they had to do that. But yeah, when he was, gone, like when he was, they thought he died or whatever. And then, Drasa had to get off the grid because they were going to kill her too, right? She ended up somewhere in France or whatever as a waitress or whatever. When he came along, all of a sudden, after all that, it had been months. He had been missing for months. It was kind of like the end of Shawshank Redemption when Tim Robbins, they didn't kiss, but it's that I didn't know if we needed that or not. Did you feel like you wanted them to make it?
I did. I wanted them to get out of there, but I think I would have been fine if they didn't.
Right, if she did, but he didn't or something.
Yeah, and I felt like it was very much kind of telegraphed in a way that, like, it felt like it was going that way, like, oh, he's going to find her. How? I don't know. But he's going to find her.
Wasn't there like a code word or something, like he knew like some little idiosyncrasy of her?
I think he just knew France because she said at some point, like, oh, let's both run. I know a safe place over there where they won't find us.
Right.
But France is a big country, right? I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, but if you know the name, and I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think he gave her or she gave him any of that info. And I mean, whatever. There are a lot of contrivances in the movie, and it's fine. It's a movie that you're just there to watch and have fun with,
Right.
Like,
you fall asleep at the end, But it's a different thing when two people know a secret or when one knows a secret. Like if only she knew, she was the only survivor of that. Once you have two survivors that they're together and they both know, there's something about that like sort of takes the snot out of it. It's like, then what do they do?
Yeah.
If you're alone, you sort of have it's a different kind of revenge if you're alone. Like if you're alone, you don't have anybody else to protect. You can blow the whistle on it like it's your own. But when they're together, now you want them to have a life together that like they get to have a baby.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, they're killers. They're killers.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't think that far about it, but I mean, and the secret's dead now, and Sigourney's dead. There's still like some footage on her computer.
She got hers. That was a
but
gratifying moment when she got hers.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than when somebody realizes the jig is up. Like, I'm in control, I'm screwed.
And I did like that scene too when, they both make it out of the gorge and he's like, okay, I got to go back because radio checks tomorrow. So he zip lines back, or I don't remember but he gets back, tells her he loves her. And when he's on the radio and now it's Sigourney answering, it's not just some other voice.
Right.
It's the top person. And there is a good moment of subtext there where you can clearly she's talking to him for a reason and he's lying, but both of them know something. And then when it cuts to her and he's like watching the footage of him and her in the silo.
That is a strange emotional place to be. When you know a secret and the other person knows and they know, but neither one of you can really say it, right? And so now you got to play each other.
Yep.
There's a dishonesty that the minute that happens, the dishonesty begins. That's a horrible place to be. It's like when somebody says, look, don't tell anybody, but this is, then you're like, oh man, I wish you didn't tell me that because now I got to be dishonest.
Right.
Like now I'm in on the stupid thing, whatever it is. And that's in that movie at that time, that's what happens. He realizes everything is not as it seems. And she realizes this guy's really dangerous and I got to manage this. I got to damage control this.
Yep.
The movie had a lot of depth. There was a lot of stuff going on, interpersonal relationships and everything like that. But I wanted you to see it, and I was impressed when I saw it, especially because it was so much for Apple TV. If that had been a first-run movie, well, then they made a movie, But to just have it just for that small venue of Apple customers.
Yeah.
Like I don't have, I couldn't watch it at my house. I don't, I have Amazon.
Same. I had to go somewhere else to watch
it. Right.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was worth watching. I think that, it just goes to show you the level of quality that these filmmakers, these private subscription filmmakers are willing to go to.
And this was directed by, is it Scott Derrickson? And I was looking at his filmography. So he did the Doctor Strange movie. I was like, all right, that's cool.
This is the generation gap right here. Like for me to do that on my phone, and like his phone's, mine's turned off. Him to find this right away, he's going to tell you this right away.
He did VHS. He did The Black Phone, which I didn't see, but I heard it's good. The Doctor Strange movie, Sinister, Hellraiser Inferno, the Exorcism of Emily Rose. So some horror movies, then got his Marvel film, and then now this one. So definitely some movies that are known and pretty popular in his lineup leading up to this point.
He's putting together a portfolio. That's for sure.
Good
That's
body
for sure.
of work. Now,
So now the rating.
I'm going to go 6.
We got to stop rating them the same.
Oh, you're 6
we're
too?
supposed to have some kind of conflict. I think what we should do. We should write them down and then hold them up.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's to see the thing. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm like a 6.5. I'll go. I think I liked it a little bit more than you maybe. But it's, if you have Apple TV, it's one to see.
Yeah, I think it's worth watching. It's worth checking out.
Right.
Not going to change your life, but it's worth seeing if you got some time.
Yeah. It's a long, fun movie. It's long. I mean, it's a real, it's a real get the popcorn, turn the lights off kind of a movie. Thanks for listening to our reviews and watching. I hope you watch many more of them. Take care of us the best you can. We're trying to take care of you the best we can, and we'll see you in the next review.